Good evening, everyone out there. We're live today, right here on the Soul Online Radio page, with the first ever Premier League podcast. Um, we've got two guests today. Of course, we've got not guests, but actually panelists that are going to be featuring on this show every week, every Monday, starting 8 p.m. next Monday. We've got James and we've got MC JC Chinode. We expect other people to come on today, but obviously I'll let the gentlemen introduce themselves and introduce their teams. But welcome to the first ever Premier League podcast as we talk the English Premier League as it's getting heated. We're seeing Arsenal topping the table, and we've seen just now that Frank Lampard has just been sacked by Everton. Special one. That's actually been special. But anyway, let's get it started. Guys, introduce yourselves, introduce your teams. What teams do you support?
Should I start?
Yeah, go ahead.
Right. Hello, listeners. Should I call you viewers or listeners around the world? My name is MC JC John Chinode, and I support the cream of English football, the team that supplies the real strikers for the England national team, and that's Liverpool in the northwest of England. That's the team I support right here in the United Kingdom.
All right, and good evening, listeners and viewers. My name is James Lopa, and I support the mighty Manchester United.
Interesting. All right. Guys, let's get the topics going right now. Of course, the first thing we'll talk about is Arsenal. They had a great win this weekend. They've been in excellent form this season. They're on 50 points. It's the first time under any manager that Arsenal have managed to reach 50 points after 19 games. But to get started, is it safe to say that Arsenal can win the league? I'll start with you, JC. I think we lost JC. James, you can come on. Do you think Arsenal can actually win the league?
Well, looking at how the season has gone, I think most times it's a situation where you're on top of the table because the other teams around you are faltering, So that's been a trend for some of the years. But Arsenal, as much as it hurts me to say, and I have to emphasize this, look good. I think they're good value for their 50 points, if that's what they have. And it's been an issue where a lot of us have been like, look, December, January, that's when the real Arsenal comes out. And we've been waiting for that. And they just haven't given us that. And usually what then would tend to happen is before you know it, the season is over. So if I'm giving my very unbiased opinion right now, I think they are the team to beat. Therefore, I think they can win the league.
I must say I agree with you. Look,
Hello, can you hear me?
Surprise. Yes, I can hear you. I heard you. I'm saying, look, as an
Musi.
Arsenal fan, yeah, I can hear you.
I was going to add on to say, I think what my colleague there said, I think Arsenal are like Leicester City when they first won the league, is it 3-4 years ago? Arsenal have won it before, so it's nothing new. But can they win it with this current team? And I think what my colleague there just said, the team to beat. There's a time in football where you've seen, I think I follow the Zambian Premiership. You remember Nkana Red Devils under that late coach with the Sates, I think it was 5-6 years back, when they just had an informed team and nothing was going to come in their way. I think you all remember that Nkana's last victory. It's the same method, I think, with Arsenal. They are just informed. There's something we don't know that's happening behind the scenes in the dressing room. And I think they are the team to beat. But hey, they say football is unpredictable, and I leave that one there.
Look, I mean, on my side as an Arsenal fan, for you to say that it's like Leicester winning the league is actually a big insult to a big club like Arsenal. I mean, you're
Well,
talking
that's
about
an
a
example.
team.
No,
You're talking about a team that has won the league before. You know, we
Yeah,
haven't
yeah, but I'm
won
saying,
in 30
yeah,
years for the first time in 30 years. You know what I'm saying? This is Arsenal that has been winning the league. So to say that we are like Leicester
no,
City is a
no,
huge
no, 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 no.
insult
I'm
to a
comparing
big
you
club.
to how
no,
Leicester
but
won the league. That your players that you
yes,
really have
yeah,
right now, I think you don't have what would call players in the Man Cities, the Real Madrid. You know what I'm talking about? The big, big, big names. The players you've got now, you just remind me of Leicester City. And I think if I'm going to disrespect Arsenal there, you gotta bear with me because there's a difference between the Emirates Stadium and Anfield Stadium, my friend. But in saying so, you are a good team right now. You are a good team. But yeah, I'll continue to say I compare you to Leicester City on Canary Devils when they won the league last. That form that they had.
ma- yeah. Maybe if I can touch on the comparison, um, the way I can see the Leicester comparison is just that I think no one saw this coming at the beginning of the season. No one could have sat there and said Arsenal would be top of the league comfortably at this time. Even you, as an Arsenal fan, Moti, you know that.
I mean, no, look, to be honest with you, I must say that I actually thought we would finish in the top four, given the
Yeah.
preseason games that we played. We actually played excellent. And when I saw Gabriel Jesus um, in preseason, I said to myself that there's, you know, after the first game, I'll see where we're at. And after the first game, for sure, when we beat Crystal Palace away, and a lot of people were saying, that's a small team, that's a small team, anyone can beat them. But we actually played a good game, and I saw our style of play. And then from then, I knew that, you know what, we are actually going to do something this season. So after game one and preseason for me, I was certain that we're actually going to do something as Arsenal. And there we go. Game after game after game, all the pundits and all of them keep saying, um, it was Leicester you beat, it was Brighton you beat it, but these teams are beating teams like, you know, United are being beaten by Brighton. These are teams who have beaten 4 goals to 2 this season already. So for me, it's been down to good management for Arteta. And I, like I said, like you asked, I expected us to really do well this season. And it's there, it's now going to show. We get to see that Arsenal might actually just win the league this season. But moving on, obviously, to the next topic right now. We've exhausted a bit of Arsenal. Some people are sad that 3-2 win. Before we actually move on, James, you being a United fan, how do you feel about that 3-2 win? I mean, that last minute goal from Nketiah, that was just, it was a very entertaining game. I must say kudos to United. You put up a good fight against a very strong team. But at the same time, you guys have been informed. But yeah, how did you feel, I mean, about that game, especially the last minute goal by Nketiah?
Well, I didn't feel good about it. It was one of those. I think United has done well in that. Obviously, we're not outplaying everyone completely, but one thing that United has done well is they've been able to manage games and pressure. I'll give an example of just last week when United beat Man City. Man City were all over us in a way, but at no point did you feel like, look, they're going to really run away with the game, And as long as you can stay like that with a devastating counter attack like Manchester United, I think you're always in the games. So for yesterday, I think I was disappointed with the result. And even though Arsenal are all of us, obviously, I don't want to bring up the Casemiro thing, but it's a glaring issue that was there. You know, we missed Casemiro. It's very obvious. McTominay just can't fill his shoes. He can't do what Casemiro does. So it kind of left like I kind of feel like Ten Hag messed this up with the Crystal Palace game because he could have managed Casemiro better. So it's one of those where I'm left wondering, what if, what would the outcome have been? With that said, obviously Arsenal did play better than us, admittedly, especially in the second half. You know, one excuse I could give though, before I finish talking is, the sheer number of games United has played within this period, because while Arsenal had the week to rest, we had the midweek game, and the week before that we had Carabao Cup. So the games are piling, and this is where depth becomes an issue. So hoping the Glazers by some miracle can pull off a few signings here and there, and we can have something to look forward to again.
Yeah, I'd like to come in there to my rival Manchester United fans. I just love Manchester United fans. They're very good at excuse. I think teams have won games in midweek and won their games over the weekend on that one. But in saying so, I think Manchester United are looking in top form. And my personal analysis, I think technically, on a technical basis, I think they need something special. I mean, the exit of CR7 is a story of another day, but I feel they just need that extra technical touch in their team. They need something special, which they've always had in the past. The Eric Cantonas, they had the Dwight Yorks, people that could bring something unexpected, something special when the odds are down. The Ryan Giggs, if you remember the Arsenal, the United match when Ryan Giggs did some individual brilliance and won the match for United. So I think United are on the right path towards coming back to the Alex Ferguson days. But at the minute, I think not to go back to Arsenal, but I think it's heading towards the Emirates so far.
Yeah, well spoken, Mr. Chinode. But talking about Casemiro, man, that game, I know you're saying you're blaming Ten Hag, but he's an experienced player. He's 31, 30, around there. Just to make that silly mistake was just literally, it showed as though he's just inexperienced, but it's very shocking anyway, if I may put it that way. But moving on, we're going to talk a bit about United now. I mean, they've shown good form. I think winning 8 out of their last 9 games. Um, they seem to have been, rejuvenated under Ten Hag, and Rashford is in serious form, doing well this season as well. I mean, the last 2 games, I think he's scored in both games, and he's just been excellent. What's your take on United? Do you guys see yourselves being a contender? Of course, being, close chasing City as well, and City are chasing Arsenal, close to, catching up to the league leaders. But do you guys see yourselves as a contender, or do you guys see yourselves as just a top 4 finish would be satisfactory for you guys?
So for me, the way I got into this season, I saw you talked about earlier in the season in terms of judging how the season goes. The way I got into the season is, I think top 4 was what was a realistic goal, and that would have been somewhat overachieving given the disarray that we're in last season. So the way that the season has gone, obviously some things have fallen in place, like with all respect to the MC, we didn't see Liverpool's form dipping to this extent. And then we've got Chelsea as well, who then fell off given the recruitment they did. So I think those 2 things happening have surely helped United, in that they've opened the door in terms of us being where we are currently. So in terms of expectation, that has worked well. But one thing that Eric Ten Hag has done, and that was a cancer that was actually plaguing United, was, the dressing room. There was all kinds of pettiness going on, information leaking, all of that. He's brought in discipline. I think just 3 games ago, Marcus Rashford, who you just alluded to, is our informed player, came late. And he benched him. I mean, not the whole game, but he benched him enough to show him, like, look, if you don't toe the line, that the team has to, if you don't walk the team line, you're going to get disciplined. So I think he's been able to introduce that. And the Ronaldo distraction was a big one, but I don't want to say he came out on top, but I think he did what was best for the team. And I think moving forward, we're making good progress. This is a project, Arsenal, a good blueprint, as is Liverpool. Things take time, so I think we are ahead of schedule because Arsenal. This has been like 3 years in the making. So for United to, in 5 months of Ten Hag in terms of the Premier League, to be where they are now, I just hope it doesn't get to them and they continue the steady progress, because we are quick to get excited, but we're also quick to get angry. So we just need to give the manager time, and I think we can get far. Yeah, that's my take.
Okay, JC, what's your take? Do you think United stand a chance of winning?
I think my take is what my colleague has said there. I think I 100% agree with him. I remember.
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yeah, I was saying that I agree with my colleague there when he says we need to give the United manager a bit of time. I remember going back 3, 4, 5 years when Arsenal were coming up, and Arteta, he said 3, 4 years ago it was the same Arsenal story. And I remember I was doing a job at the Emirates Stadium, and I was interviewing Arsenal fans, and they were all shouting and screaming. And then there was one fan who I enjoyed who said, "Look, in the English Premier League, you need to give a manager time. The English Premier League is not like any other league. You have to give the manager time." But then again, you give the United manager time, but the question again is he able to utilize that time? Because time doesn't wait for nobody. He's never going to get the Alex Ferguson time. I think Alex Ferguson was given the time Alex Ferguson was given at United. If any manager was given that time, he would win the league and the Champions League. So I agree with him. I think that's my take. Give United a bit of time, but as I said, technically they need to bring in something special. And I don't know what that special thing is, but I can see it when I watched them yesterday that, look, they're a good team, quality, but they need 1 or 2, 3 special players or something special within the team that they need to work out in training. I think that's my take, Musman.
Okay, interesting. I must say I agree with both of you. It's a transition period, and I also don't think they could actually win the league this season, although they are playing extremely well. It's just too soon, but their players are actually looking good. But moving on to the next thing, guys, we're going to talk a bit about Chelsea here. Chelsea have had a terrible run of games. They've dipped in form. They've spent a lot of money. They've spent a lot of money, of course, on players. Is Graham Potter the man to take them to the promised land? And do you think Chelsea can make top 4 this season? JC, what's your take? JC, are you there? James, are you back?
Yeah, I'm back now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I just asked about Chelsea, of course. We've seen a deep in form from them. They've had a terrible season, if we can put it that way. I mean, the question is, do we think Chelsea can make the top 4? And let's not forget they've spent the most money amongst all the teams in the last 5 months alone. I mean, we've seen the Fofanas come in. We've seen now this Modric kid come in for another 80 million. We've seen the Koulibalys come in. It's like Todd Boehly is just spending out of this world, but and yet Graham Potter is failing to win games. Chelsea don't look good when they are playing. What's your take on Chelsea? Do you think they can make top 4? Or do you think Graham Potter could take them to the promised land? You can go ahead, James.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, Chelsea, it's a strange one, eh? Of course, the combination of the signings which are a bit haphazard, if I'm honest. As well as the injuries. The injuries definitely haven't helped in terms of continuity. Um, but it's all just all jumbled up, I think. And for that reason, on any given day, though, Chelsea can give any team a good game. I just don't think they'll be able to put together a good enough run of games to be able to push that top four position. Yeah, so for me, I don't think Chelsea can make it. Maybe Europa League or something like that, because they'd have to go on an incredible run, and everyone would have to come back from injury. But what would be harder is obviously incorporating all the new signings. So that those combination of factors for me, I don't see them making it top four.
JC, do you see Chelsea making the top four under Graham Potter?
Well, we can never say never, but I think to me it's more to do with technical areas like injury. If they're going to be injury free, I think they've got a few mountains to climb, Chelsea, really, for them to get uh, to top flight football. I mean, they're still, as my colleague has said, they'll still give any other team a hard time. It's that team that could beat a Real Madrid side on a good day. So I think I would not rule them out as contenders, but then I don't think they'll really do that well as expected from Chelsea fans. They'll probably end up where they are or slightly above, depending on other results. So I don't really see them as real contenders. You see, the other thing I think we always forget is I think we watch football on TV or at the stadium. But sometimes, managers have to win the dressing room. So I think Chelsea as well, looking at them, I think they've got those kind of areas to work on. The manager has to win the dressing room. Like what we're seeing at other clubs like Liverpool right now, where, you feel like the manager maybe has lost 40% of the dressing room, which is very important in football.
Okay, talking about Liverpool, I mean, they're sitting ninth on the table. Obviously, only played 19 games, 10 points behind Man United. Liverpool have also had a terrible start to the season. Not any one of us actually expected them to be sitting where they're at right now. And of course, at this stage of the league where we're halfway through the league, which has been very, they've had very shocking results. I mean, a draw at home to Wolves in the FA Cup, a loss to Brighton, away. They also had a loss to Man City as well in the AFL Cup. I mean, they've had terrible runs as well in the Premier League, and it's been shocking coming from Liverpool. And now, JC, you're saying that Klopp has lost the dressing room. I mean, in October, Leeds beat Liverpool by 2-1. That's crazy. Now you're saying that you think he's lost the dressing room. I mean, don't you think the
Well,
player?
you know what? It's this is broadcasting. I'll be quite accurate in what I'm saying. Like, it's an opinion. I feel a team like Liverpool, I mean, they've lost Sadio Mane, and Sadio Mane definitely, you saw during the World Cup that Senegal missed him up front. His influence was very important to Liverpool as well. I think the absence of Mane was quite a setback, especially for a team that, especially if you're relying on this particular player for goals. So Mane is a very lame excuse. I think it's not even about them because they've been champions. Teams have studied their system. I think to me, Liverpool look like there is something behind the scene that's probably happening. We've seen the likes of Jose Mourinho, who's a good manager, joins Manchester United and he loses the dressing room. And I feel the same is happening at Anfield. I just feel there's something between the managers or players, or it could be a certain group of players are not happy with the manager. These are things we've seen in football. Like, Chelsea one time had the little group of Cockney lads, and this is John Terry, Joe Cole. They had a little clique, Frank Lampard, that didn't want this manager. So there's little things like that I think that I see with Liverpool, because the players they have in top form. These are experienced players with a lot of individual brilliance. So I just don't know what's going on with my team, and I hardly even eat over the weekend because of their results. I'm always starving over the weekend because I can't eat. Liverpool get my appetite away.
Very interesting. Very interesting. Guys, we're going to close the show today. We're gonna cut it short. I think next week we're gonna manage to do an hour. This is just the
Okay.
first airing of this show, and I hope we have more people tuning next week. We're going to obviously change a few things on the show as well. But guys, before we end the show, let's talk about the fixtures coming up. Of course, this weekend is an FA Cup weekend, but next weekend, the first game, of course, on Friday, we see Chelsea take on Fulham. I want you guys to give me your predictions for the games actually that I'll bring out. So only the top six teams basically. Chelsea take on Fulham, Everton are away to Arsenal. Um, yeah, Manchester United are at home to Crystal Palace. What's your take on these three games? I mean, with do you think Manchester United, you're playing Crystal Palace, you drew against them the last game, they scored in the last minute. Um, what's your take on this game? You're facing them again. What's your prediction as well? JC Chinode, you come in after.
They would have at least. I think they'll come in with that mentality, like, look, we need to make things right. So I think United wins 2-0 there at the minimum. Yeah, 2-0 would be my prediction. Do you want me to talk about the other games as well?
Yeah, sure. Chelsea, Fulham.
Oh, okay,
Chelsea
yeah.
at home
So
to Fulham.
yeah, so Chelsea Fulham is a tricky one. But I think given the break now, Chelsea might get their act together. So I see them getting about let's say a 2-1, because Fulham usually have a goal in them. And then Arsenal, Everton, look, that there's confusion there. The firing of Frank Lampard though makes it interesting, because usually when there's a new manager, somehow the players just get reinvigorated, eh?
Yeah,
However,
spot on.
I just don't see, yeah, I just don't see that deterring Arsenal. So I'm gonna go with a 3-0 for Arsenal there.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
JC Chinode, Chelsea, Fulham, Everton, Arsenal, Manchester United, Crystal Palace.
I think which one did you say? Is that Everton, Arsenal? I think there's a difference between a league and a cup match. What happens is cup football is different. Cup football is all about who wants it badly. You could see that at the 2012 Africa Cup of Nations tournament. You could see that at the 2005 Champions League in Istanbul, the Steven Gerrard led team. So I think Everton, Arsenal, 50-50. You can't say because Arsenal are on top of the league. Everton might have their manager telling them how important winning the FA Cup or going a step further will bring to the team. So I think cup football, I've always said, it's not about how good a team is. It's all about who wants it badly, like Argentina. They wanted it badly. So that one, I leave it at 50-50. Then the Fulham, Chelsea, that's an exciting one. I wish I could get a free ticket here in London to go and watch that, because that's like in Lusaka or on the Copper Belt, you're watching Power versus Kana Red Devils, or Green Buffaloes Football Club versus Nkwazi. So it's this local derby. It's in West London. These clubs are only a 30-20 minute walk or drive. So it's going to be a tense match, the Fulham Chelsea match. It's like Manchester United versus Man City. Whether Man City was in League Three and they met in a cup final, it's still going to be a tense match. So these two matches, I think, are going to be 50-50. Then I could see, for a change, let me not be against United. I think United are favourites over Crystal Palace in that match. But I think the other two matches will be unpredictable because it's cup football. Let's not think of the English Premier League. This is the FA Cup.
Hello.
Hello, hi. Can you? Yes, I'm still tuned in.
Oh, okay.
Oh yes, sorry.
It was breaking there.
Yes, sorry. Three more games to talk about. Of course, Liverpool take on Wolves, and Wolves are at home. Wolves have looked good, especially under the new coach. Newcastle take on West Ham, the surprise team. Newcastle, who are in the top four and have shown good form this season. Under Eddie Howe. We see Tottenham as well at home to Man City. That's another big one. We saw what Man City did to Tottenham at their home. Tottenham were up 2-0. And Man City came back and scored 4 goals. But let's start with Liverpool, Wolves, of course, and then Newcastle, West Ham. Newcastle at home to West Ham, and Tottenham at home to City. What are your predictions there?
This is in the Premier League, right?
This is the Premier League.
So not this weekend, next weekend.
Yeah, next weekend. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So for me, Tottenham City, they'll probably wipe the floor. I saw a joke on Twitter where a golfer was playing and he said, "Pass me the small club," and then he said, "Here, use Tottenham." That's the mentality that they have right now. You know, so I don't see any win coming from Tottenham. Probably, maybe manage it better now. So probably they won't go back to the 4-2. So they might manage it better. Who knows? Probably I could say even 3-1 or something like that. But I just don't see Tottenham beating City. You said Newcastle.
The Newcastle at home to West Ham. Newcastle at home to West Ham. We've seen what Newcastle has done this season. JC Chinode, what's your
Yes,
take on Newcastle's form this season? I mean, they're in the top four of the Premier League, and they look good under Eddie Howe. But
I think
they
they
seem
look.
to lose
I think they
yesterday.
look brilliant. They've got the French player. His name has just gone away on top of my head. I've had a long day, but I think in general, Newcastle are just playing organized football, like we saw with Morocco at the World Cup. You heard me earlier during the start of this show. I did mention, I think, at some point that you could have the average players, but it's about being organized. So I think Newcastle are playing organized football. They're playing as a team. They've got a good manager, and I would say that look, it's the team that will upset the big boys. It's a team that will upset your team Arsenal. It's a team that could beat a Real Madrid or a Bayern Munich on their day. I think they've got this determination where. You watch them play. I think when I watched them 3-4 weeks ago, it's like they're playing a big team, but they're still playing as a team, as a unit. So with Newcastle, the Magpies, I say they're unpredictable.
Wolves at home to Liverpool.
Well, Wolves against Liverpool, that one as well is a tricky one for Liverpool, especially with the poor results that we have witnessed. And the normal one, Jurgen Klopp, that one as well is going to be an unpredictable match. And unless Liverpool can come out of this a shadow that's led them to stay or stand at 10th in the league. So I think Liverpool Wolves unpredictable. Analyzing Wolves will have nothing to lose. Sometimes it's like you, Musman, you're going to fight Mike Tyson. You've got nothing to lose if Mike Tyson beats you. So you might just throw crazy punches, and there's Tyson is you've knocked him down. So Wolves go into this match with nothing to lose, according to the two teams. If you compare them on paper, right? Liverpool is the big brother, so Wolves will have nothing to lose. But let's wait and see.
Okay, and finally, Tottenham, Man City.
Well, you see, Tottenham, to me, I'm not a joker or a comedian, but I'm going to say this, that look, Tottenham are just a team right now, like you and me. They work 9 to 5. They just pay their bills. They just, buy their shopping. That's all they're playing for. There's nothing else they're playing for. You know, Arsenal are playing for the league. Liverpool are playing to come back to the top four. What about Arsenal? What are they? What's their ambition? What's their aim? I think they need a lot of work, Arsenal, to start with, and I don't see them beating Man City. Only if Man City are going to play 6-7 players from the reserves. But if Man City are going to play the Man City that we see under Pep Guardiola week in and week out, it's a big thumping for Tottenham. The Tottenham fans should just expect a big thumping, and I won't say anything can happen in football because it's not going to happen, because Tottenham right now are shambles. As I said, they just look that team for players that are only going for training so that they pay their bills, they pay their mortgage, they go for their holidays, but there is no achievement that they want. You know, there's nothing that you're aiming for, Tottenham. You know, that's all I'm going to say about that match. If you're a Tottenham fan and you're tuned in, excuse me, I'm only doing a job.
Okay. I see James is logged out. I'm not sure if he's going to come back on, but this was the first of the Premier League podcast. We'll be back next week, Monday, of course, with MCJ Chinode, Mr. Rex. We expect Martha to be on and Nayombe to be on. We're going to talk a lot more about, you know, the FA Cup this weekend coming up as well, and then next week's games in the Premier League, and where Arsenal will be, and where the top 6 teams, which we all are here supporting. We have James, who's Man U, and JC Chinode, who's Liverpool. You know, Martha is Manchester United, Nayombe. So yeah, we expect to see those guys next week. But this has been the first ever Premier League podcast. We'll be back next Monday. So peace out, everybody.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks.
All right.